Hello, how you doing today?
Great, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me. First off, I just want to ask about who you are and what you do for a living.
I just want to thank you, Carlin, because this has been an amazing opportunity to work with you. And one of the things I'm so passionate about is having the opportunity to connect with students on campus. I'm an alumni of Penn State. And when I reached out to the department to find out if there were any students who were interested in helping with the political campaign, I was so excited to see that you applied for that position. And just hearing about the work that you did with your radio interview, I thought that was really interesting viewpoint. And I thought, wow, I think it would be a great opportunity to do just kind of a background information, some of the work that I'm doing and why I've decided to run for office. So my name is Sedalia Cornelio, and I live in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania, and I'm running for Judge of Elections for precinct number 5.
And then what exactly does a judge of elections candidate do?
That's a really good question. So the Judge of Elections' main responsibility is to oversee the polling place and the personnel during the voting time. So it would be the upcoming May primary as well as the November elections as well.
And why exactly did you want to run for this role?
Well, in my past experience, I've had an opportunity to volunteer on the Planning Commission for Harris Township in Boalsburg, and participating in that process and being able to hear and see different residents come in asking questions whether they were looking to start a business and they wanted to find out what they were able to do in the township, or if they were trying to sell their property and they needed to know specifically what would be the ordinances or the different policies that the township had in place. And so it was really an interesting opportunity to work with other volunteers on the Planning Commission and help to address some of the concerns that the local residents were experiencing. And so when I was able to see up close, up front, how important local politics was, my next step really was in volunteering for the election. So last year I had a wonderful opportunity to do some door knocking and volunteering for the Center County Republican Committee, and I had an opportunity to go to door and meet voters and talk to them about the election process and how to reach out to their local office to find out specifically what information that they need, if they were planning to vote in person or if they're planning to vote by mail, all of the different things that goes into the election process. And my really desire was to make sure that every voter, regardless of whether I was knocking on a door on someone who was a Republican or a Democrat or independent or not even identified into a specific party, that they had the right information that they needed to be able to vote. And really, that's for me it's a bipartisan goal, I think. So I had a conversation with a friend of mine who was also looking to run for office, and she and I had spoken about how passionate we were about just being able to make sure that every vote counted, and not only every vote counted, but also to make sure that everybody had an opportunity to understand what the voting process was and how to get out there, because there's a lot of people who don't vote, and who are just kind of on the fence in terms of I've heard is my vote really going to count? Is it really going to make a difference? But it does. Every vote counts, and really it's about making sure that you have an opportunity, a voter has an opportunity to cast their vote and to participate in the election process. And I think that that's an important right that we have as American citizens, to be able to vote. I know not every country in the world has that opportunity to do that. Some countries are very, they have authoritative and dictators who are running their country and they don't give their citizens an opportunity to do that. But we are blessed to be able to do that here in the United States. And so I think that it's a civic duty that I encourage, everyone, regardless of their age, their background, to do that. To make take the opportunity to do that and make a difference in their community.
Why do you think you are a qualified candidate for this position, and how can you convince voters to vote for you?
That's a great question, Carlin. And, I feel really confident in my ability to just be able to pay attention to details. I have a background in administration, and so I know how important being able to accurately document information if there's any challenges that may come up during the elections. Part of that was part of my training, actually. I had an opportunity to go through that training process last year, working as a poll worker for my precinct, and also this year as well, being able to go through the training process through the elections office. It's very extensive, and it provides all of different types of scenarios that could potentially come up during the elections process. I feel really passionate about making sure that every voter who is properly registered is entitled to vote. And so my main goal is to ensure that if there's any questions, any that may come up, any concerns that may come up, that I'm able to accurately document that and provide that information to the elections office, as well as reach out to any personnel if there are any problems with the voting machine. And so I feel really comfortable about managing the technical aspect of managing the polling place during the elections process, but also being able to engage with voters as well as the varied personnel that will be attending the elections. So I feel really comfortable and confident having the extensive training that I had through the elections office, as well as my experience working last year as a poll worker. And I know that I understand that there could be a variety of different things that may come up, scenarios, and I've had the opportunity to just kind of go through that and ask questions myself to make sure that I handle, that I follow the protocols and the procedures and adhere to the specific responsibilities and roles of that position.
You mentioned a lot about volunteering and stuff about the community. Why is that like an important thing in your mind?
Well, I think that a lot of times, if you don't have an opportunity to step out and volunteer and give back to your community, you really kind of don't have a good understanding of what's happening in your community. Some people, live their lives where they just get up in the morning, go to work every day, come home, and they spend time with their family. But when there's a crisis that's happening, like for example, when the COVID, pandemic happened, a lot of people felt very isolated, and they felt very disconnected from their community, and you understood what it felt like to not have somebody there, and to be able to reach out to your neighbor. Everybody was sheltered in for a period of time, and it really taught me the value of being able to reach out, because I've heard stories of seniors who had to be by themselves during that time, and how difficult it was for them not to have somebody there, family member, loved ones, to be there to support them. And I feel that that really changed my perspective on being able to, on the importance of giving back and connecting with our neighbors. And because it's important. It's an important part of being the community. If you want to make a difference, and you want your community to be a good place where people want to live and they want to work, then participating, being part of that community, volunteering is a good way to do that.
And then going back to kind of the plans for the campaign, some of the focal points you mentioned in our previous meetings were education, agriculture. Can you talk about those a little bit?
Sure. As far as just kind of things that I'm passionate about, as far as background, I've worked in varied fields that had given me opportunity to connect with growers, agricultural growers, farmers in the community, and just kind of really seeing how they've been the backbone of Pennsylvania industry for very many founded many years. Penn State was founded as a Pennsylvania land trust, and so the university was originally an agricultural school, and it still is. And so I've always been passionate about supporting local agriculture because I know that having accessible, healthy food that is affordable to families is really important. I work in the area of education, and I see working right in the schools and how important being able to have healthy foods. Kids are able to learn, they're able to think and concentrate. When they're hungry, they are not able to learn, they're not able to think and concentrate, and it makes it difficult not only for instructors but also for the support systems that are in place to help those individual children. And I think that, that in my role as a judge of elections, those are things that I'm passionate about, and that I'll carry that same passion when it comes to making sure that every voter has an opportunity who's registered to be able to have to be able to is entitled to vote, is given the opportunity to vote, and if there's any concerns that they have, that I'm able to address them, and to provide that dignity and that respect and integrity for that role.
And is there, how do those like tie into the position? Is there any connection, or is it?
I think the biggest part of it is just in terms of being able to understand your local community. I'm really familiar with the Center County community. I've been here for over 10 years with my family, raised my children here, and the same passion that I've had when I first came here as a Penn State student to want to give back. I know there's a lot of people, students who've had an opportunity to attend Penn State University. They have moved on and they've lived, to other areas, but I wanted to stay here and just kind of give back. And so I've had the chance to work with in community garden projects and being able to volunteer in different healthcare events. I've had a chance to do some research through the university as well in terms of healthcare. And I think it really all ties in together. Just having a heart and concern about the well-being of residents in this community. My local neighbor. Making sure that that I'm always providing information every time I have a chance to talk about local programs that are available to families. I always want to share that because not everybody may have the time or may not understand, have the ability to find out what the resources are. But I think how it ties in together is just my passion for helping individuals and families just feel supported, and really kind of for me, blends into the role as a judge of elections, because as a judge of elections, the main part of it is having the ability to just provide that, be that voice during this critical time, and to be able to provide the support to the personnel that are going to be working there, and to make sure that the integrity of for every voter is in place. And so the same passion that I have in helping local families and community members receive the support that they need, I want to provide that same support during the election period, because I think it's just as important.
And then how you might not be able to do it, but how can you help implement these goals into the real life?
I think the main way that I can do that would be to make sure that I share my experience and things that I'm observing any concerns or questions that I have with the elections office, so that to make them aware of. And if there are challenges that come up, and being available to answer any questions, and just being upholding the integrity, and being honest, and just being able to share my observation and what I experience with the elections office perhaps could give them an opportunity to see an inside perspective of what is happening and what may have took place if there was a challenge that came up.
And then do you have any other areas of interest that you are focused on besides like education and agriculture?
I'm also concerned with the local businesses, and just making sure that they have an ability to just to thrive. I know, the more we have good family businesses that are here and want to come here and to start and hire people, and just really provide a good economic foundation for this community, the better it is for the families that are here, because we want a vibrant community. We want a community that is supported, and businesses want to come here, and so I think that whatever I can do to help encourage that through my role, I would be happy to do that.
And then this is your first governmental position that you're running for. Is there a future of this, or running for like other positions as well, or do you think just this is it?
Well, I think that starting local is the most important thing to do, and staying within the focus that regardless of what position that you're running for, any candidate, whether it's school board position, or whether it's judge of elections or inspector elections, for example, it's really important just to really take into consideration how your role can make an impact in the community. And so if an opportunity comes that I'd have another, opportunity to run for an office, I would consider it. I think at this point, I'm really excited about, being able to run for this office. And my goal really is to just ensure that if I'm elected for this position, to be able to support the local community by making sure that this elections, that every vote is counted, and that people are provided the information that they need on the election day. It's an important day, and I want every voter who comes into the elections polling place to feel comfortable, and not to feel that they're walking into a hostile environment. That they want to feel comfortable, and that they're going to have the freedom to vote, and they're not going to be harassed. And if there's any problems that does come up, that I will ensure to make sure to put a stop to it, and also to reach out to the proper authorities to make sure that that doesn't continue.
And then just to end it off, what is one thing that either you already mentioned or didn't mention that you would want listeners to take away from this short podcast?
I think the biggest part of the big takeaway, I would say, is that is to make your vote count. And regardless of whether, has occurred in the past when it comes to the elections, any challenges that happened before, to just take a fresh step, fresh start. We have elections coming up on May 20th, and it's important to get out there and vote, and for whether you're voting for me or you're voting for someone else, but make your vote count. And that way you're participating and helping to shape your local community.
Well, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to answer these questions. And then thank you for the listeners, whoever listens. And then be sure to make your way out and vote on May 20th.
Thank you so much, Carlin.